This week in Crime Tracker 10, we're sharing the story of Gabe Artis, a man who spent 23 years in prison for involuntary manslaughter. He hopes his story will save another kid from gun violence or perhaps stop another teen from committing a horrific crime.
As part of our week-long series looking into the rising number of kids and guns, Gabe tells 10 TV's Angela Ann tonight that prison saved him from going to the grave.
I got blessed to come to prison.
For 23 years,
I could have been in my grave right now.
people in prison called him Artis.
Really and truthfully, I deserve death for what I did.
But Gabe Artis spent half his life in prison for involuntary manslaughter, a 1995 robbery that turned deadly. The crime was Gabe's idea, but his teenage nephew pulled the trigger that killed a store clerk.
You can't control or dictate the situation that you go into, especially when it's a situation that's going to be for bad.
Now out on parole, Gabe says prison saved him from ending up back on the streets. Incarceration is also where he found his second wife, Banaji, who says she saw his potential while working at the prison.
Gabe to me is the example of not being your past. You don't have to be your past. You can change.
Gabe also credits his first wife, whom we spoke with in 1995. She made sure their two children stayed in his life, despite what he did.
He's never been in no trouble like this ever before.
Gabe admits there were tough conversations and tears shed.
She said, "Dad, you abandoned us. I feel like you abandoned us and you were selfish." It's something that brought tears to my eyes because I had to tell her that, yeah, you know, your dad was selfish and I did abandon you. And we just held on to each other in the visiting room for a few minutes and she cried and I cried.
But Gabe says prison helped him learn true remorse, something the parole board cited during his final hearing, and something he wants the family of Patricia Collins to hear.
And so when I wrote my second letter to them, I let them know that, hey, this is what I did to you. This is how I hurt you. And they need to understand that I know that.
We have heard from some of Patricia's family, and they say this story reminds them of the deep pain they felt in 1995 and still feel today. They also don't believe Gabe should have this opportunity to speak. But one of Patricia's granddaughters, Elizabeth, told us differently. She says seeing how gun violence has affected her family and the generations that followed, she's hoping Gabe's mission of stopping kids from killing kids will be heard. She's also hoping to one day meet Gabe in person and judge for herself if redemption is deserved. For Crime Tracker 10, I'm Angela Ann, 10 TV News.